Everyone understands English, so therefore we will do this talk in English. So I gave you guys a choice. Here we go. So here today I'm from Makerspace, and we're going to talk about how Makerspace is an innovation lab for everyone. So first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Nati Sang. I'm the CEO and founder of Makerspace Thailand. Now, as you can tell, I haven't always lived here in Thailand. I'm originally from the US, born and raised. My parents are Thai Chinese, but they never taught me any Thai. So I moved here about 15 years ago, and I actually really love Thailand. I love Thailand so much that at one point in time I became a Buddhist monk. I became a monk over at Wat Arun, the Temple of Dawn. I did that for several months. And my time spent in the monkhood was a very magical time. All I did every day was just meditate. I wake up at 4 a.m. every morning, and then I just do meditation, and then I go out and collect my alms. While doing walking meditation, I come back and I only eat one meal a day, and then I would do more meditation, take a short nap, wake up in the afternoon, and do more meditation, and that was my day. Magical time. Now the thing is, though, that some people think that meditation is just this. Yeah? Oh, just empty mind, concentrate on your breath, just breathe in and breathe out. And the thing is, though, that that's not really quite true. That's what we call samadhi, or concentration meditation. But I also practice this, which is manya, wisdom meditation. And in wisdom meditation, what we do is, it's not just about concentration, but it's also, okay, things arise in your mind. And you have to start having the presence of mind to start asking why. Why are things like this? And you start answering or finding answers to the big questions of life. Was human? Where does anger come from? Where does fear come from? You start to try to understand these things. And that's the thing, though, is like, well, when we learn something about Thailand, and let me share some of my wisdom that I learned. One is we ask things about Thailand. One thing we learn is, oh, well, they teach in school Thailand is a developing nation on the verge of being developed. We're almost there. Okay, good. That's what we teach in schools. So when I was a kid, a long time ago, I learned that Thailand is a developing nation on the verge of being developed. And when I asked my dad, what was Thailand like when you were a kid in school? Thailand was a developing nation on the verge of being developed. So that means we've been on the verge of being developed for over 50 years. I don't know about you, but what that means, we will never be developed. That's not on the verge. So, why is that? Why is it like that? Okay, well, and then as a monk, I had to sit there and try to figure these things out. One thing, though, is like, okay, I watch a lot of TED. So this is Sir Ken Robinson. He's pretty famous when it comes to creativity. He talks about how creativity gets killed by schools. He says, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original. Yeah, and the thing about Thailand is that, okay, we're very good at, we haven't really developed yet. We kind of copy a lot, and we don't have a lot of original things going on. Things don't really change. Okay, so for example, like when we talk about the startup scene here in Thailand, a lot of people, they talk about mobile apps. Yeah? Oh, we need to program, we need to do mobile apps, we need to do these tech startups. That's what's all the rage here in Thailand. It's been like that now for about, close to 3 years. Okay. But the thing is, though, does that really make a lot of sense? Because when I look at things like Thailand, we are not naturally great at things like mobile apps. We're just not good at it. Okay, we can do it, but we are not the leaders of this part or in this world. Actually, our entire IT infrastructure, we're not that great in Thailand. So why do we keep doing that? It's because it's what's popular over in Silicon Valley. We just copy them. But we don't really look at who we truly are and do something that makes sense to us. We just say, oh, well, this is what's popular out there. Why don't we do it too? And we have a good contingent here from Singapore. And in Singapore, you guys spend a lot of money on the startup scene. Most of it goes to mobile apps. Why are we doing that? It doesn't make sense. Are we great at making mobile apps? No. But yet we do it because, oh, we just copy them. Why is that? Well, when I look at things like Thailand, what I do see is we are great at physical innovation. We are great at using our hands, not programming. So what makes me say that? Okay, well, for example, this is the Thai Longtail boat. You guys probably maybe seen it before. This was made by a guy in the north of Thailand. Why did he make this thing? Well, okay, when you have a longtail, when you have a normal outboard motor from the west, you put it in your boat, and when you look at the shape of the Thai boat, all the water spills into your boat. It's the backwash. On top of that, we have a lot of weeds in our rivers. So what happens when you have an outboard motor? Oh, you get stuck in the weeds. But with a Thai longtail boat, what happens? Oh, well, he put an engine in there. He has a drive shaft. He has a propeller at the end. When you come up to some weeds, oh, you lift up the propeller, you glide over it. This is what I call physical innovation. This is what Thais naturally do. And this is not coming from a university. It's not coming from a science park. It's coming from a guy on the river who knows how to use an engine. And this is what he does. Here's another innovation that I see in Thailand, Itan. This is a modular power plant system. They use it in a tractor made by some farmers here in Thailand. They use it to plow the fields. Yeah, they take the engine, put it in a tractor, plows the fields. They take it out, they do other things. This is what Thais are also doing drag racing. Then when they take the engine out, then they can put it into another vehicle, and not only can they plow the fields, they can actually take it out and drive the grain to market. This is what Thais are doing. This is what they naturally do. And again, it's just farmers putting it together. Or how about this? Okay, we see this all over Southeast Asia, gayang or grilled chicken. Yeah? In Bangkok, this has all changed. It's been like this for decades. Yeah? It's smoky and people don't like being around it. Then some guy in Bangkok, he figured out, okay, if I stick an electric motor or a fan next to my grilled chicken and hook it up to a car battery, then it blows all the smoke into the air. And then, oh, people will like to be around my shop. This happened about 3 years ago. Now you go to Bangkok, everyone who sells these things all have electric fans. And this did not come from a university. It came from some guy on the street who put a car battery with a fan. This is what Thais are naturally doing. Physical innovation. Or how about this? Everyone knows this one. Tuk tuk. Yeah? This is just a pedal cab. Yeah? That they put an engine into. From some Thai mechanic. He said, okay, this is a pretty good idea. Why don't I do this? If you left it to a scientist, maybe they'd probably make some really special fancy dancy little thing to carry people around. Maybe put some electric engines into it. Yeah, maybe put some aircon into it. No, a Thai mechanic doesn't think that way. He just drops it in and he goes, okay, it works, fine. And now this thing is world famous. Again, this is what we are naturally doing. So why aren't we doing things more like that? And the thing is, I worked in venture capital for several years. People would come and talk to me, pitch to me for money. And I say, well, okay, what do you have? Oh, you have another mobile app idea. Okay, why are you guys doing more physical things? I look around, I see a nation full of makers. We are a nation full of makers. Why aren't we doing things more like this? And they say, oh, Nati, making things is really expensive. We don't have the tools. Yeah? So we don't have a place to do it. We can't invest into it. Oh, okay, no problem. Well, then I made Makerspace. Yeah? So Makerspace, we have all the tools and the space for people to build whatever they can think of. So for example, we have 3D printers. We have laser cutters. Yeah? We have a full workshop where we have things like CNC machines. But, okay, not just the fancy stuff. You have to have the good stuff too, like the basic stuff. Yeah? So table saws, band saws, compound miter saws, welding equipment. You need to have these things too. Yeah? It's not just about 3D printing. So look, we have this at Makerspace. Next door we have Pun Space, which is our co-working space. Yeah? In Chiang Mai, we are the #1 destination for digital nomads in this world. They rate us as #1. Everyone comes here. They all want to stay here. They all want to work here. They all want to live here. They love it here. Oh, we own Pun Space? We're the #1. That means all the digital nomads come to us. So when we open up Makerspace, we have Pun Space right next door. Because we know that the way that the world is moving is integrated devices. We have things like microcontrollers and programming. Well, look, these guys can do it. And we are directly next door, so we have good synergy. On top of that, we have office facilities and caffeine as well. And on top of that, in our backyard, this is the Chiang Mai walking street every Sunday night. And every week, we had 20,000 people walking by. And here, oh look, and here's Makerspace right here with Pun Space. So we can rapidly test our ideas. So that's the hardware side. But let's talk about the people side. Yeah? So for example, this is employee #1, Golf. He came from a technical school. If I didn't hire him, as many technical people, school kids happen to them, is they end up in a factory. They just push a button all day. And as you can imagine, in terms of school, they don't want people to think creatively. They just want someone to push a button. But they learn all these wonderful skills. They know how to fabricate almost anything. They learn CNC skills. They learn how to do designs or computer-aided design. So what can we do with something like this? Someone who's not creative. Someone who has been stamped out of his whole life, creativity. And they want him to be a robot. Okay, I hire him on. Let me see what I can do with him. So, okay, first I have him use a CNC machine, sure. So he starts making parts. But, okay, that's too normal, basic. So how about you start trying to do other things? I challenge him, try to make some art. So then he makes something like this. This is the Papikaned, or Ganesha. Yeah? Made out of 100-year-old recovered teak. Designed it himself, he carved it out himself. Okay, not so bad. Then on top of that, then okay, how about you start trying to do other things? Like, how about you try to design some furniture? So then first, he finds a design on the net, and then he makes that. Once he understands the technique, okay, good, you understand the technique. Try to take it a little bit further. He tries to take it a little bit further, and then he starts designing his own furniture. Here he is making a rocking chair out of plywood. He designed it himself using digital joints. Oh, and there's Ganesha in the back. Then on top of that, we also hold workshops. But it's not just about us trying to teach. We feel that when you become a teacher, you become a much better master at the skills. So we also get him to teach. Here he is teaching people about 3D printing to a room full of designers and artists and architects. Amazing stuff. Then he designed things like this. This is a desk that he laser cut in small scale first. But once he designs that, he also has them build it in the workshop. And then he teaches them how that's made. And he has them build it. And here's the full scale that they were cut out on the CNC machine. But how about this? In woodworking, there's this thing called the Dovetail Joint. It's one of the best joints that you could do in woodworking. And the thing is, though, here in Thailand, we have a lot of wood. But you never see any dovetail joints. And why is that? Well, you have to use something like this. It's called a Dovetail Joint Jig. It costs about 10,000 baht. Several $100s here in the shops. That's probably why you'll never see a Thai craftsman ever use a Dovetail Joint Jig. So, okay, cool. Well, the thing is that Golf, he just doesn't like to let things sit around. He sees these things, and now that he knows how to make all these things, and he's being creative, it kind of turns in his head. And he's like, well, okay, how about this? He starts putting into a CAD program, starts designing it, then he puts it into a laser machine, and then he makes his first prototype. And then from there, then he makes his full scale, and then, oh, okay, cool. So there's the jig, but then, you know, he knows 3D printing. So then he starts using a 3D printer. Then he starts testing out different bracket systems and checking out, see if it doesn't melt. And then on top of that, then he goes, okay, that's pretty good. Then he starts embedding knots into the knobs. And then here he makes his full-scale prototype that cuts out the Dovetail Joint Jig. This thing, which cost 10,000 baht in the store, he made this for 50 baht worth of material. So what, $1.50 in materials, and all done with what? Because we have a makerspace and using makerspace tools. And we didn't ask him to do this. He just wanted to do it, and he did it on his own, and he designed and built everything on his own. So to me, I'm very proud of him. And not only that, not only when we build things, we can share it with other people. It's very easy for people to understand, especially Thais, when they can touch and feel and see something in real life. It's easy to pass on this knowledge as well, and they can understand and become more creative themselves. So that's what's going on at Makerspace. On top of that, we have other members coming in. So this is Anne. So she really loved virtual reality devices, except they're very expensive. So here she is. She took a VR, she took the Google Glass, developed it further, and cut it out of foam. So there she is. And she made it out of, what, 20 baht worth of foam. Then we have things like the 3D printer. So, okay, 3D printers need to be more than just printing out like useless pieces of colorful plastic. So you need to make something useful out of it. So then we print stuff like this. So this is a bag holder. So when you go to the markets, you know, you usually suffer from this death grip syndrome where you have to carry all these bags around. So, okay, we have a 3D printer. Why don't we do something about it? Okay, here we go. This is the first prototype. And then we develop it further. This is an entire meal that I carried home using the bag handle. Yeah, and all the food that you see there was all carried by that 3D printed handle. But then we have to evolve beyond just 3D printing. So we have things like laser cutters. So then we start experimenting with cardboard. And then we do this. Instead of using 3D printed parts, we can use cardboard. And we can print this cut this entire thing. And it carries this. And this is about 3 kilos worth of food out of cardboard. So good stuff. Also at the Makerspace, we also have a bunch of kids coming through. Yeah. So we teach schools all about the new technologies as well. And then those kids also then become our members. They all want to print these big things on the 3D printer. This kid, he wanted to make a Pokemon helmet. So as my member, I told him, well, look, instead of making a Pokemon helmet out of 3D printed, how about we do a different technique? And then we make it out of cardboard instead. And he gets it within the span of an hour. He glued it all together himself. So we have things like this. Then we're also flying our own drones made from scratch. We have a lot of international members coming in. We have 50% international members, 50% Thai. So this guy, he's from Spain. His name is Lot. So he came in, and in the beginning of December, he taught us how to start building drones. He made this thing called the Flone, which is an open source hardware drone. So he taught our guys how to build drones, and this is the first airframe that we built, and then we flew. Then from there, once he left, then we started experimenting with the airframes. So here we are, we're taking the whole concept of laser cutting out the airframes out. Here's version 2. And then we start experimenting with other materials. Then this is corrugated polycarbonate. And then we make this drone. Okay, once we have the skill sets in mind, and we taught all the guys how to do this, then I start investing into them. So I go, hey guys, I'll give you 10,000 baht. How about you start designing your own drones? So then they go, oh, they're pretty happy about that. So then they try different techniques. So here we go, we take the whole plywood structure technique a little bit further and cut this out. This one is made with no bolts. It's all held together by zip ties. We get rid of all those pillars that are made of metal, and we saved ourselves about 50, 60 grams of weight. It's highly flexible and flies really great. So this is version 5 of the airframe now. Now we're working on version 6. But then my guys, they're also wanting to experiment as well. They have access to 3D printers. So then they start printing out parts, and then they make 3D printed drones. It looks really nice, a little bit heavy, but it works. Then he starts putting electronics into it, and there he goes. This is his first test flight that he's trying out. Don't we have sound? No sound? Okay, too bad. So then we start performing our own first test flights. But then we discovered that aluminum in Thailand is really cheap. We found that 6 meters of aluminum pipe costs 80 baht. 80 baht, like $2 for 6 meters of aluminum pipe. So why aren't we using stuff like this? People insist on using carbon fiber. I don't know about you, but carbon fiber is really expensive. 60 or 80 baht for 6 meters? We could make tons of drones. So then we started playing with this. So we start using laser cutting and CNCing and 3D printing. And then we start printing out drones. Sorry, the picture is really bad on this one. But it's made out of aluminum. It has laser cut and CNC frame parts. It has 3D printed brackets. So all this, since when Lot first started teaching us about drones, we made all these different airframes, and all this different knowledge came in the span of just 30 days. So we can go very far when we have things like a makerspace in our lives. Let me give you another example. This is one of my members. This is A. And he loves race car simulators. Yeah? So he came in, he didn't know how to make anything, he didn't know how to design anything, really. But he learned all these things about laser cutters and whatnot. So then he had this desire to make a race car simulator. So he goes, Nati, I want to make this, I don't have the money to do it. Can you help me? So I said, okay, tell you what, I'll invest into you. I'll invest into you 20,000 baht to make your race car simulator. How much equity will you give me for that? And he said to me, okay. He thought about it. Kunati, you provided me all the money. So how about this? I'll give you 60% of the company business, and I'll take 40. And I looked at him and go, no, I don't want that. And he's like, what? I said, well, tell you what. I'll give you 70. I'll only take 30. And he looked really confused. What? You only want 30, but you're giving me all the money. And I go, no, I just want 30. Then that night he went home to talk to his wife. And his wife was like, oh, this guy is crazy. He only wants so little. So he comes back to me the next day and he says, okay, Kunati, how about this? I'll give you 50% and you take 50. I said, no, I only want 30. I'm investing to him. Yes, but I want him to own it as well. And it's very strange to have a reverse negotiation where he's trying to give me more than I want. But look, we're a makerspace. We're here to empower people. So first he starts welding it up. Then we help him out with the electronics. Yeah? He starts building it. And we got it to work. Then we also then taught him how to do electronics work as well. Because look, we're here to educate people as well and turn them into innovators. So they create the first prototype of the race car. Okay, not so bad. But we need to develop a little bit further. So then we make this in several iterations. We make something that we can market. And then we bring it to TEDx. And then we start marketing it there. Oh, and then from there, this is A's first ride in his motion simulator. Yeah, he just built it, and then here he is riding it for the very first time. And by the way, people now are already asking him how much he can buy it for. In the marketplace, they're selling these things for 300,000 baht per simulator. He doesn't want that, but he can probably sell it for 60,000 baht per simulator, and people will buy it, and people are already seeing all his effort, and now they want to buy it. And by the way, he was able to do all this from the time that he asked for our help within 45 days. And this was all happening while we're also building our drones. So this is what we can do at Makerspace. And we're not going to just leave it there. Oh, we have drones and we have race simulators. It's not such a far stretch to imagine when you put telemetry data from the drone and start feeding into the race simulator so that you can start driving the drone while you're in the simulator. That's our next step after all this is done. So that's what's going on at Makerspace. In other words, when we have a makerspace in our lives, we're here to empower the next innovators of this world so that we are not a developing nation on the verge of being developed again for another 50 years. So thank you very much.